Next up is our guest speaker, and I am very privileged to introduce our guest speaker. I've known him and his family for a long time, and I'm not going to read his bio because we probably would be 8:30 by the time we finished up. So, and I don't think you'd want me to do that anyways. Today we have Joe Serra of Serra Automotive Group. He's a well-known, well-respected, and dynamic speaker in the automotive industry. The Serra Automotive Group currently owns 24 facilities and 38 franchises throughout the United States, and still growing, right, Joe? Joe will talk about the new U.S. auto industry and how the restructuring of GM has impacted his operation and the operations of other dealers. He'll also share his forecast for the U.S. auto industry. Just to know, Joe is a graduate of Albion College, and he's been married to his lovely bride, Julie, for many years. He has 2 children, Matt and Lauren. They're grown, and they're wonderful. Please join me in welcoming Joe Serra. Thank you. Make sure you stay here and
Thank you, Des. First of all, really appreciate you allowing me the opportunity to be here today. And it's going to be difficult because usually I talk with my hands. And so now that I got this mic, if I move away, I apologize. It's the Italian part of me. No, I'm going to be fine. So it's really an honor to be here and to be with the group. Now that I heard there was a noon meeting, that might have been a better one for me. But I'll take the breakfast, early risers. Des mentioned what I was going to talk about today. I might change a little bit in that you know, the auto industry is an interesting industry and one that's near and dear to most of our hearts here in the state of Michigan, and one that quite frankly has changed over the past few years. And so what I was hoping to do this morning with each of you is just sort of talk about the past, spend some time talking about the present, and then I'll look into the future for you, if that's all right. And if I do that, what I hope to do is share with you what our organization, and there should be a handout that sort of shows you what our organization looks like in totality somewhere around the room here. But I want to share with you what we did to survive the past. Because what we went through and what many other individuals and business people like yourselves went through, we all had to survive, quite frankly, or else we wouldn't be here today. So I want to share with you what we did to survive the past. I want to talk about what we're doing today to capitalize on the present, and then what we're doing, what we're planning on doing to maximize the future. So that's sort of where I'm at. And the only thing I maybe would ask of you, and I don't know with your other speakers how they did it, but throughout my discussion, I really would prefer to have questions as we go. So if I'm speaking, you have a question, just ask it. It won't mess me up because it's not a very canned speech at all. It's not canned at all. So if something's on your mind, I'd rather talk about what's on your mind than maybe where I'm going. So if you have a question, just feel free to ask it. Desiree mentioned my family, and I want to take 2 seconds and comment on that, because I know in business, that's a vital part, is who's supporting you when you're not at working. And like all of you in this room, whatever role you play, it takes a lot of hours. And you need that support at home. And my wife is a kindergarten teacher. She's been teaching for 30 plus years. And literally, I have associates I work with that were in her kindergarten class. So either she's too old or I'm too old or something's wrong. But when you're hiring kids that your wife taught in kindergarten, that's a problem. And then I have 2 children, a son who graduated from Miami of Ohio and now just entered the business with me, which is really, really neat. He's going to go on to grad school, but hopefully he'll enjoy the business and want to stay in it. But if not, you know, whatever he desires to do is great. And I have a daughter who's in Chicago trying to make a career out of singing, dancing, and theater. And if anybody knows anything about singing, dancing, and theater, I think I have a daughter for life. It's a tough business, but give her the best at that. So let me tell you about the past. Everybody remember the year 2009? It's a year that, quite frankly, I'll never forget. It was the year when everything got turned upside down in my world. And you know, we were in an automotive depression amid a global recession. I mean, it was an automotive depression. Sales volumes, let me just try to share what happened in our world. Sales volume had dropped to 10 million units. Now that was a decline from the year prior from 2008. It was a 40% drop. So I just want you to take in your world, if your business or whatever your life changed 40%, you know, the income dropped 40. So from one year we dropped 40. And from the prior year, from 2007, when we had sold 17 million vehicles, it was a drop of 60%. So we went from 17 to a 10. Can you guys hear me all right without? Because I don't even need the mic, I can scream. So it was a big change, and it happened quickly. And the impact on my organization was truly traumatic. In our organization, GM literally eliminated, and you guys saw it here in this town. There was dealerships here that are no longer here. And in my case, GM eliminated 4 brands. Just the brands are no longer there. And that was Hummer, Pontiac, Saturn, and now Saab. You guys remember those brands? They're all great brands. And to me, that was significant. And it was significant because I, at the time, owned and operated the nation's, not just the state of Michigan, the nation's #1 and #5 Hummer store, #2 and #7 Saturn store. I had owned 2 Pontiac franchises and a Saab franchise. I lost 9 dealerships overnight, and not because of my inability to operate them well, or they just were, the franchise was gone. It'd be like you waking up tomorrow and whatever business you're in, if you're selling lunch buckets, all of a sudden lunch buckets are gone. You can't sell them. And the real impact of that was not that those businesses were gone, that gross was gone, I had facilities I had to figure out what to do with. The real impact, and where it really messed me up, was what do I do with my associates? What do I do with them? You know, I have people that, quite frankly, I go to work every day because I know I have people dependent upon me for their livelihood. That's what motivates me. I have an obligation to them that they can live the life that they deserve. That's my mission. And all of a sudden, I didn't have a franchise. And I had to figure out what to do for them. Forget me, you know, them. And I tell you, it was awful because I didn't have the answer. And you just can't go out and grab another franchise and plop it in there. They're not available. There's franchise rules. So it really was a challenging time. And quite frankly, it was out of my control. And one of the things I'm going to talk about today and share with you, like bullet points to take home, is that unfortunately you need to focus and worry about things you can control, and don't spend a lot of time on things you can't control. Does that make sense? And this one was out of my control, but I had to worry about it because it impacted some people that, quite frankly, were looking to me for guidance. And I had to just fake it for a while. I faked it. I just told them what I thought they might want to hear, but yet I also was very upfront and open with them and told them, just trust me. I didn't know where we were going. I told them to trust me. And thank God they did. So here's what we did to survive the past. We got together as a team and decided we were determined to act and not just sit back and hope. I have a saying, and maybe you know this, but hope, and a lot of people always say, oh, I hope to do this, I hope to do that. Have you ever heard that? I hope, I hope. You know what? In my world, hope is not a very good strategy. It's not one of your best strategies. And so we try to stay away from hope. And we decided we're going to focus, as I said earlier, on things we could control, spend no time and energy on those things we couldn't. We internally made some real tough decisions. And I think when times are difficult, like we went through, and still difficult today, you need to make those tough decisions. And whenever I see businesses or individuals that fail, they're afraid to make those tough decisions. And you need to make them. And I also learned real quickly that cash is king. Cash is important. Because are there any financial lenders in the room today? Prior to 2009, you guys loved me. Today, I mean, you're starting to like me a little bit now, but I'm telling you, I went from being likable to they forgot who I was. So cash was king. We emphasize and encourage change in our organization. You've heard the saying that insanity is repeating the same action, expecting different results, and yet there are so many people, so many businesses that continue to do the same thing over and over. It's not working, but they still keep doing it. Detroit Lions being one, thinking things will change. It's not going to change. You have to change in order for the outcome to be different. We also committed ourselves to moving fast. And this would be some advice I'd give to anybody, and I give it to my children all the time. And I think we're, in this world and in business and life, we're just a little too complacent, too cautious, we're afraid just to go. And I tell myself, I tell everybody that I'm involved with that we need to move fast. In today's world, when you're about 70% sure, I know everybody says you need to be 100, but if you wait till you're 100, somebody else is there. Somebody else already made decisions, somebody else already went. Somebody else already took the risk. So we're about a 70% company. When we're 70%, we're going. Now what's the flip side of that? We're going to make some mistakes, right? That's okay. That's okay. I'd rather be first and be right 70% of the time, knowing I'm going to make some errors, than wait until 100 and I'm the third one into the game. You got to be the first. So that's just sort of what we think. And the last thing we did, and I would just, this is the most important, is that we believe long term that our success lied with our associates, with our employees. And so we overly communicated with them. I mentioned earlier that I just sort of talked to the people, somewhat fudged, but I did tell them the truth, told them to trust me. I overly communicated. When times were difficult like they have been, and I know they're going to be in the past, I know it's going to come again, then that's when you need to talk to your people, talk to your family, talk to your friends. They got to hear from you and let them know, just so we can all communicate. So we overly communicated. A little bit too much, but we engaged them, got them involved. Does that make sense what I was saying? So that's how we got through it. And it's over for now. Now the present. It's a different industry today than it was just in 2009. Although volumes are much lower than they were in 2007, we're now anticipated this year to be at about 14 million in sales. So that's up 40% from 2009. I guess I'd be probably not 4 into 10, anyways, probably 30 some. But and yet the manufacturers that are out there have learned that they probably can make more money at the lower volume than they did at the higher volumes, because they were producing greater than the market allowed. And once supply exceeds demand, you have a problem in any business. GM, which represents probably about 60% of my business today. Back in 2009, it was, I think, like 80%. Now it's 4 brands versus the 8. I mentioned earlier they eliminated 4, so GM's a different company. They stand today with Chevrolet, Buick, GMC, and Cadillac as their brands. And although the retail volume is up, it's not back to where it was. It's going to be a slow growth. The other thing that's really changed, or maybe not changed, but has become evident to me and probably to many in this room, is that the automotive industry is global. You know, we look and we think it's just here. We think it's just the United States. And quite frankly, if you were to go talk to a manufacturer, the United States wouldn't even maybe be their first concern or first area of opportunity. Whether that's good or bad for us, that's what it is. We're not even their #1 player right now. GM's nearly 70%, by the way, of GM sales are outside of the United States. Does that surprise you? Because I just think in my world, I think everything's here. 70% is outside. GM's largest market is China. And China is a market that GM was the first manufacturer in China to sell 2 million units in 1 year. And the ironic thing was that they went from 1 million to 2 million, doubled their volume in just 3 years. So that's where the growth is. So when you see how when they make decisions and we read about them and say, what about us? Well, they're sort of feeding, and they're one, and when I say GM, every manufacturer is like that. So it's a global business. To me, the present looks much brighter than the past. Housing market, we all own homes, right? Or maybe trying. The housing market, I'm hoping, has bottomed out. I don't know how you guys feel. And when I say housing, I'm talking residential. I think we're towards the bottom of that. Any real estate agents in the audience? Would that be an accurate statement, or because I'm just assuming, is that pretty true?
Pretty close.
We're sort of getting towards.
In some areas we are better than that.
Better, starting to come back up. Okay, so that's a positive sign, right?
Yes.
Yeah. The banking industry, I talked about them earlier. They're starting to stabilize. Would that be a true statement for the bankers? Starting to stabilize. Starting to return my phone calls. I appreciate that. Starting to answer my emails. I don't do that tweeter and stuff. And what do you call it? Twitter? I don't do any of that stuff. And then I also, ironically, don't do Facebook, which I know everybody needs to do. My wife does it, and it saved our marriage. She does that all night long. I read the paper. Life is great. And the auto industry is clearly improving. So it's better times. That's sort of what we look like today. Now, what am I doing as a company to capitalize on the present? Just a few things I want to talk about. I mentioned earlier, we talked about accepting change and embracing change. We do things so differently today than we did years ago. It's mind-boggling. And I assume that's true in all of your lives. You're doing things today that you never did in the past. We believe that in order to remain strong and to be the leader in the industry, we must have the courage and the wisdom to change. That's where the 70% comes in. And as I guess my advice to you, if anyone in the room is running or managing people, as I said earlier, allow your people to make mistakes. I see too many leaders that just pound people when they make mistakes. And once you do that, I guarantee you the individual that you're managing, they're not going to offer too many more opinions after that. So let them make mistakes. And then I put down here that we just need to be excited about all these new things that are coming at us and new technology, whatever it may be. Be excited about it. Find better ways. We challenge our people to find better ways to serve our customers on a daily basis. Time left 3 minutes. For real? All right. All right. Here's what I'm going to leave you with then. I'm going to leave you with this. And then do we do questions or just 3 minutes? That's all right. Hey, here's what I wrote. This is important. When you get to business or life or whatever, a business is people, location, and product. And all businesses have those components. Would you agree? People, location, product. We all have those. But yet, not all businesses succeed. And many fail. I put here, to those that succeed, besides employees, location, and product, business is about attitude, desire, determination, courage, and willingness to change. If your business has attitude, you know what I mean by attitude? I want to work and play and be a part of an organization that wants to win. I tell you, you come work with us, I literally have no interest in not winning, not being the best. And I hope you're working for an organization or leading an organization feels the same way. We want to be the best. If you have those attributes, I think you have the ability to be great. So with that, I'm going to open up for questions. I made my 3-minute timeline, didn't I?
Still okay.
I'm still okay. So any questions at all? But again, I do thank you. I really appreciate the time you allowed me and would answer any questions you may have. So thank you very much.
Joe, you talked about the banking industry. Share with them how you used to be able to walk in and walk out with $1 million check or so.
Literally, I tell you, the old days, and this is sound crazy, but and unfortunately in our business, these are big financial decisions, even land and building, which by the way, when I mentioned the housing market, commercial real estate I don't think has bottomed out yet. I think that's still, we still have some issues with commercial real estate, which affects many of us business owners. But previously, if I went in and needed a loan for $1 million, without a doubt, a lender would say, would you like $2 million? It always happened. I say, no, I only need $1 million. You sure? You want $2 million? No, I only want $1 million. And yet today, or in 2009, if I want $1 million, they'd say, get lost. And today, they do work. We are back. We're not everyone, but if you have a successful company, if you give them the right covenants, money's out there. And quite frankly, as we all know, money is really, really cheap right now. Great time to get your hands on money. So, any other questions?
You want to share with the dealerships that you just, your new brands?
Yeah, but I have 10 seconds to say goodbye.
Oh.
And so I do want to say goodbye. This is, what is that one? What is it, the Emmys or something where they do that? I've always wondered what those people felt like. Now I know. And then it's always those older people saying, I don't care. But I do care because you guys, it's important. So thank you so much. But yeah, we're always looking to grow. We just opened up in Grand Blanc. We just opened up a brand new Cadillac facility. Opened on Monday, a week ago. It's beautiful. We're opening a new Subaru point this coming Monday. VW a month ago. So we've got some great expansion going on in Grand Blanc. So thank you very much for your time.
Oops. Wasn't he great, guys? I really, he's a tremendous speaker, and too bad we didn't have longer because he would have probably shared lots and lots of good and wonderful things with you. Just want you to know that he is his organization is a tremendous supporter of communities. His foundation does a lot of good work for all of us, and we need to recognize people like Joe that have a commitment to not only the organization, but to the communities that he lives and works in. We all live and work in.